5 clip-style open earbuds.
5 completely different prices.
There can be only one winner.
Namaste with DHRME.
Dudes have really majestic ears.
Before we start on this list, let's explain what these are in 10 seconds. Put the countdown on. Okay, these are all clip style that clip onto your ear and play sound from the outside. They're light and excellent for people who wear glasses especially, almost like earrings, but there's no noise isolation and the sound quality does suffer because of the form factor. All right, let's go to the first one.
The JLab Flex Open at $50. These buds stay in place during workouts, no issues, and the IPX4 rating will be fine for sweat and rain too. The battery life is advertised at more than 7 hours, but we got 6 hours in our testing. The buds are available in 2 colors, black and teal. The case isn't huge, but it's also not the smallest on this list.
And unlike the Tozo, you do get multi-point, although it's a bit of a pain to enable it. So make sure you read the manual for that. Once enabled though, we were happy that we could play music on our second phone without having to pause on the first one, which was pretty cool.
And the touch controls are on the back side of the bud, and there is a raised logo, which is a smart implementation.
Yeah.
Single, double, triple, and long taps are fully customizable and includes volume, and they were responsive controls in our testing.
And other than the touch control that you can customize in the app, you can also update the firmware if JLab releases one. There's a safe hearing setting which you can adjust from default, which is max, 95 and 85 decibels. Very useful. It's so easy to crank up the volume on these open ear buds and you're always competing with the surrounding volume, so that's great to have. I think it's the only one on this list that has it, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, there's also music and a movie mode.
And in terms of sound, there are 2 EQ presets here. You got your default EQ, which they call the JLab signature, and it's a literal V shape, my preferred sound for music.
And the balanced preset wasn't really my preference, but you get a 10-band EQ in the app, which is saying something, but like sound-wise, the sub-bass is missing, but overall I thought that the bass is better than the next set of buds on this list we'll talk about. Pretty passable for this form factor. But what about our popsicles?
Icicles.
And our testing?
All right, this is a mic test on the JLab Flex Clip earbuds with cars in the background. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. What do you guys think? All right, this is a windy bike test with the JLab Flex Clip earbuds. And the wind is on the meter. Here we go. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. And now softly, pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3.
So the JLab did very well in noisy conditions. You barely heard the cars and the voice was clear and audible. The wind is more audible, but the voice stayed mostly intact. Very impressive. For the Fakman, you get a couple of controls straight from the buds, and that's the ability to answer hang-up calls and change volume. There's no mute straight from the buds, guys.
And I think the biggest knock for me on these is that we'd say that these are the bottom of the barrel for comfort on this list. The clamp on the ear is quite tight up to the point that they're kind of painful and you will constantly be reminded of something around your ears. And not just that, the end that goes into your ears is a bit rough. Like there's this kind of separation between 2 parts that you can feel. This roughed up my delicate ear skin every time I took it out of my ears or put it on.
Aww. There's no wireless charging or a wear sensor on these buds, guys, meaning the audio will not pause automatically if you remove an earbud. And the JLab were a bit harder to clip on, though you need to bend them a bit to get them on right.
Right. So let's go on to the next one. The Tozo open earring at $50. Now at $50, you're getting quite a bit of value on this one as well. And we can see why you guys are going gaga over it in the comments. They're a compact set of buds and probably inspired by another set of buds on this list, which we'll come to. And despite the size of the charging case, Tozo has managed to fit in their iconic display showing the battery status of the case itself and the earbuds. They're also very secure in terms of fit and stay in place during workouts, no issues. And because of the IPX5 rating, the buds are protected against a bit of rain and sweat. You also get the Tozo companion app.
Although the app may look complicated, in reality, you have a few very simple options, and we kind of dig the simplicity. What you see is what you get. The overwhelming apps from other manufacturers can sometimes be a lot. You can turn on a low latency game mode and adjust the touch controls, and these sound very decent, especially the mids.
Yeah, there's an EQ with like 1 million EQ presets, and if Tozo releases updates, of course, you can get those too. And those touch controls, by the way, include volume controls, which you will need because these buds can get loud.
The touch sensor is on the back unit of the earpiece. It took a bit of getting used to because we normally tap the part which is on the ear, but we got the hang of it pretty quickly. Will you get a hang of the phone calls too, or will you hang up?
Nice.
All right, this is the mic test on the Tozo open earring, earbuds with cars in the background, pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3, and now softly, pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. And here's a windy mic test for the Tozo open earbuds. Here we go. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3.
All right, in conclusion, in noisy conditions, these are quite okay. You barely heard the traffic and the voice was clear. Not like that. Oh, that's going in the bloopers, isn't it? You barely heard the traffic and the voice was clear. If there's wind, you will hear it depending on the angle, but the voice generally came through. Not a bad pair for calls, guys.
And then, if you're a fuckman, you get a couple of controls straight from the buds. That's answer and hang up. That is it, guys. You cannot change volume or mute the microphones straight from the buds.
Yeah.
Now, I had two big cons with these buds. These are just ever so slightly bigger and heavier than the Huawei that you'll see later on in this video. And that translated to actually weighing down my pinna after a while, making it not quite an all-day wear.
Also, these are a bit large, and what that meant was I was actually triggering touch controls when I was moving my neck around with my collar and stuff like that, or maybe it was just hitting some other skin. And there's a third major issue as well.
And unfortunately, these buds can stay connected to one device at a time. No multi-point, guys. The startup tones are also a bit too loud and annoying, especially if you're in a quiet space. And while these sound passable, don't expect too much bass. It'll be mainly mid-bass you'll get, no sub-bass rumble here.
And there's no wireless charging, nor a wear sensor, so removing any of the buds will not automatically pause your audio. And depending on your ear shape and what kind of glasses you wear, the back unit of the earpiece might actually clash with the ear hooks of your glasses. That wasn't quite an issue for us though.
There is also a bit of latency between the touch controls and it being registered, like a second, which isn't all too bad, but good to know.
And now, good to know about the Soundcore C40i at about $100. You guys have been waiting for this, I think.
So you're getting a couple of things on these buds, guys. You're getting button controls, which is not very common. There is one other pair on this list that does have it. So it's very easy to hit when you wear gloves or you just don't like touch controls. And those controls are configurable in the app. And you get volume controls, guys, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, and in the app, like he said, you can configure the controls, but you also have EQ, that famous Soundcore EQ capabilities. And not just the software, the hardware is very good. The flexible clip on the C40i is a huge improvement compared to its predecessor, the C30i. And there are extra ear grips included in the box in case the fit isn't tight enough.
You know what else isn't tight? So these buds do support multi-point, and you can put them into pairing mode in two ways. So you can hold down the buttons on the buds at the same time, or you can use the pairing button on the case.
3 ways actually, you can do it through the app as well.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. And what's nice about the multi-point implementation on these buds is you don't need to pause the music on the first phone. It'll automatically start playing the media on the second device when you hit play there. And we're not done yet with multi-point. There's also a device list in the app, so you can see which devices it's connected to and disconnect and reconnect to devices.
Yeah, and then the sound, and this is where I'm a bit down with the sound. So these can sound very good for this form factor, and you can get good EQ presets, especially good bass, but it's under certain conditions, and we'll come back to those conditions in a bit. But battery life, there's a 7-hour battery life that Soundcore advertises. We tested it, we got 7.5, so kind of checks out. A pretty good battery life for buds of this size, and you get an IPX4 rating, which means it's fine for slight sweat or drizzles.
Yeah. And speaking of drizzles, check us out outdoors with the microphones.
Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Popsicle, ice, icicle, test, three. Ice, testing. One, three.
Our conclusion for the microphones is that the C40i is severely allergic to wind above 2.5 to 3 meters per second. The voice is just cut out and you can't hear what this guy is saying. In noisy conditions, it's slightly more positive, but even small gusts of wind threw the mics off. You can take some calls in a pinch, but the other person on the call is going to hear all the cars driving by.
And if you're a fuckman, you can answer, you can decline and change volume directly from the buds using those wonderful buttons.
You want to continue?
You don't look very comfortable, man. But how are these? Are they comfortable? Maybe it was a long day after work, but these for me weren't the most comfortable on this list. For you?
I found them pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
I could wear these for longer periods.
Maybe it was me just testing a lot of buds that day and my ears were a bit sore and have sensitive ears. So
Because of the JLab.
the JLab or just my sensitive ears.
Yes.
These sound very good, but they didn't sound good to me. Confused? Well, I was too. Default fit was not great for sound for me. And if I push the buds close to my ears, I know that these sound good because they sound way better. Now, this will be the case with all of these earbuds. And it really depends on what is the shape and size of your pinne, I guess. But for me, the difference on the SoundCore was the highest. So again, they can sound very good. The drivers are good. It's just about the placement. And using the insert to modify the size didn't work for me for sound. And I had to use the volume booster preset. And then it sounded much better than the default SoundCore signature preset. So that's a bit of a learning curve, but
All right. And like we said, there are buttons for controls, but pushing the button is a bit of a learning curve. Pressing with one finger doesn't work. You need to do like a 2-finger pinch. But after a while, it was all right and we got used to it. The buds are also a bit bulky looking on the ears. Definitely not the slimmest on this list. Also, there's no game mode, so if you're into that, good to know. There's also no wear sensor or wireless charging. Unlike Segway time.
Huawei Freeclip for $200. The Huawei Freeclip have been a favorite for a long time. And there's almost nothing they can't do. A flexible clip makes them super comfortable and secure. It's got it all really. Multi-point, a wear sensor, volume control, an IP54 rating, wireless charging, an app, GOAT level call quality, great sound, volume controls. Well, don't believe us about the call quality? Check it out for yourself.
Popsicle, icicle, testing. One, two, three. Popsicle, icicle, testing. One, two, three. Popsicle, icicle, testing. One, two, three. Popsicle, icicle, testing. One, two, three.
The Freeclip also look kind of fashionable with that earring design. It's also hard to fault them except for the price, but that's the category we're in. And the fact that they don't sound bad, but they're not the best on this list for sure. But will these next buds be any better? I doubt it, but let's talk about the Bose Ultra open earbuds at $300.
That's a lot of money. These are the most expensive on this list. Yeah. And if you're being honest, don't bother, guys. Bose is asking for that brand premium, but doesn't really provide anything exceptional compared to the rest on this list, except for one thing.
And that one thing is how you wear these buds. There's a rubberized coil that wraps around your helix and they're very comfortable. The immersive mode that these buds come with is also especially good. Besides that, you do get an IPX4 rating, multi-point, which was introduced later by the way, and 9 hours of tested battery life, and pretty good comfort and fit like we said. The sound is bass forward, but weak in the higher frequencies, and the call quality wasn't great when they first came out, but it looks like Bose has been fixing and ironing out some kinks.
Here, have a listen to his popsicles, to his icicles, to his Bosicles.
And here's a mic test on the Bose Ultra Open earbuds with cars in the background. Pop, pop, popsicle, icicle, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, icicle, testing. 1, 2, 3. And here's a mic test on the Bose Ultra Open earbuds in windy conditions, and you can see the wind speed on the meter here. Here we go. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3.
So our conclusion, you can actually have a conversation with these on now. You heard the traffic and the wind, and the voice sounds a bit processed, but they're generally quite usable now for calls compared to when they first came out. Remember? Ooh,
trash.
Yeah, and the Falkman?
They only will get answer, hang up, and volume. There's no mute.
Yeah. And speaking of volume, mute, and controls, they have a nice button, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Button controls. Like we said, these are the second pair of buds that have buttons, which we love. We're buttonophiles here on this channel.
Yeah.
But overall, guys, these buds, they're not mind-blowing in any specific area to warrant splurging on them. Unless you really like the look and that immersive sound experience, and maybe the after-sales service. So those were 5 of the best clip-style buds that we could come up with for you guys, but what's gonna be my pick out of these 5? I'm a little bit tight on budget, so I'm gonna have to look at either the JLab, the Tozo, or maybe the SoundCore. Now, I wanted to lean towards the Tozo over the JLab just for the comfort, but because Tozo can only connect to one device at a time and does not support multi-point,
Big downside.
yeah, I'm going with the Soundcore C40i, guys. I love the fact that they're comfortable, they've got multi-point, and they've got button controls and a nice app. Calls are not the best, but they'll have to do.
Yeah, you're on a budget.
I'm on a budget. What about you?
I'm not on a budget.
Oh, high roller.
High roller, even then I'm not buying the Bose because of everything we said.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Huawei. I actually have it in my pocket right now. Like this is how much of a fan I am of these
Daily
of
driver.
this product.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It does everything I needed to. It's the most comfortable out of all. And after reviewing 4 other buds, I realized, okay, these guys came out with this product like 2 years ago and they're still superior in comfort to all the others here. And it does everything I needed to.
Yeah.
A compact wireless charging, it's got everything. It's the most compact case, I guess, of them all. Huh?
Yeah, it's very compact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Huawei any day. Does
There
that
you
rhyme?
go.
Huawei any day? No, it doesn't rhyme. All right.
It's good enough. And if you're not a big fan of clip style buds, then we've made a video on hook style open earbuds and we're a big fan. We compared 15 of the best, so check out that video. We'll link it up here and in the description down below. And one of our favorite hook style buds is from Shox, the sponsor of this video. They make the Shox Open Fit and the Open Fit Air. We've compared both these products and we'll link them down below for you.
Shout out to all of you watching, liking, subscribing. If you're not subscribed and you still watch our videos, why don't you hit subscribe?
Yeah.
But
As you know, we have a couple of tiers on our Patreon and YouTube membership, guys. So big thanks to our Popsicle, Icicle, and these lovely tested members and patrons. And a special shout out to our highest tier, which is the Fuckman tier.
Paula and Gamma Panda, you guys are extra special.
Thank you very much.
You've been tripping about clipping.
And we've been DHRME.
Do we?
Do we?